was 12 years old when I learned my first scripture, John 3:16. Tim Tebow led the charge, OT in Denver, but it was heard throughout the walls of the Sistine. Millie's watching him up on a stage, and everybody looked it up. I like to think the good he did with all the fame, and I wanted to join the club. See, it wasn't about the Super Bowl and all the spoils, but the messages it sent. He spread the word to foreign soils. People who never felt love for the first time. I'm hoping maybe I could do that through little songs and stupid rhymes. I watch my friends get married. They're making beautiful baby girls. They're buying homes, creating life, changing the world. And I can't help but think that I am not enough. Like, when's that happening to me? I can't be seen, I can't be loved. But then it hits me. Proverbs 14:30. Envy causes problems, kills your peace and turns you dirty. So I could only focus on developing myself. Like there's a reason for these cries. I stop the lies and offer help. I work with cards that I am dealt. I share these stories, mental wealth. When you embrace all your mistakes and bear your cross, pain kills itself. Like there's a reason for your trials. There's a reason for your passions. There's a reason why you learn the consequence of all your actions. You do not know right now, but later you'll understand that he put you through those things so you become a better man, and you'll be thankful. So thankful, but I can't lie. I struggle with faith sometimes, and I ask why. I question his work some nights. I try to look up when I feel stuck. I try to look up, and I put my faith in.
Still muted. What is going on, muted? Hi, everybody.
I knew you were
ruining
the
intro. Yeah,
that you were going to do it.
I am so professional. I'm so good at this. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to Cuestacast. We have Hack No Cap playing us in. David, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. More of the same drama stuff that I've talked about before is going on, and I'm feasting off of that.
The quartering is just continuing.
We don't need to get too much into it.
Oh, no, we won't. But just
I'm enjoying
if you have not paid attention to what's going on with quartering, Keno Casino, and all that, you might want to go get caught up, because the quartering might be a memory soon in terms of online personalities. He is just going down fast, man. Yeah. So Caveat Ties coming in saying, who that guy on the left? It isn't some old man that filled the space of a hippie that used to be here, okay? That is who I am. So, everyone, thank you for watching. Wherever you're watching from, YouTube, X, Facebook, Kick, Rumble. Make sure you like, share, follow, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And then go follow us on the socials at Cuestacast _ is where you're going to find us. That is what we have right there. So, make sure you do that. And we had a good time last week talking to Ja Bless Creates, creator, gaming, music over on Rumble. Ja's a really cool dude, makes good music. He's over there doing a lot of hangout streams. So I encourage everyone, go back, give that episode a listen, and go follow Ja if you have not. So this week's episode is one that I don't like. I enjoy all the guests that I have. Like, we have a lot of cool guests, but it is rare that there's a time where there's someone that you have listened to them for a really long time. And I'm not shy about talking the fact that I listen to other podcasts, and I mention Glenn Beck's show all the time. This gentleman was with Glenn Beck for, God, I think it was like 20 plus years. It's an insane number that he was there, and Glenn didn't even get him a nice sports car. And I don't understand how he does this to him, but let's bring him in. He is the man, the myth. He is Mr. Stu Burguiere. Stu, what's going on?
It's not much. I am unfortunately not driving my Lotus right now that I did not get from Glenn. I'm hanging out with you guys instead, which in some ways is better, but most ways is not.
No,
you are more like a Datsun than a Lotus, I would say.
How you guys doing?
We're doing good. We appreciate you coming on. So you have some new things in the works, and I'm excited for you. Now, first off, you have a show named Predictable Show coming, and I've listened to you for years. David's listened to you for years. We know that you are a numbers, stats type of nerd, and this show is right up your alley. You get to do what you want to do. So real quick, a plug. What is the Predictable Show? When can we be looking out for it?
Yeah, predictableshow.com is the address. It's called Predictable with Stu, and basically it's sort of an extension of what I've done for 28 years with Glenn, which is kind of the part of my job there was to be, other than just making fun of Glenn and calling him names. Most of
Which
my
I have to
job,
say, there was a distinct lack of that. You need to talk to Ricky and tell her
Mhm.
she is friggin' slacking. I don't know if
Mm,
she's fearful for her job, but that was the best part about you. You didn't care if he fired you, and we need
no.
Ricky to get a little more of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was many years towards the end I was trying to encourage him to fire me, so I would go farther. No, Ricky's great. I'll start leaking her some more insults
Yes,
to go after Glenn. That's of course
we
a
haven't had
big
a
part of
weight
that
joke
job.
yet.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's
Not one.
terrible. Wow,
Yeah, no.
wow. I'll call in as a caller and just disguise my voice
Do
and
you
maybe
still have the voice thing you used to do? Can you get that and do the caller, the
oh
one
yeah.
that
Yeah, they actually they installed a phone, like a little fake phone that I could pick up the phone and talk into it. And it would sound like I was on the phone. So no, that's still in the studio. I can always go in there at any point. I still know all the producers there, so I can get in there. But yeah, no, it's called Predictable with Stu. It is a show that one of the things I did a lot. You guys remember
Yeah.
is talking about elections and how to look at the world and kind of try to sort of distill it more than a lot of punditry does. I think a lot of people, for good reason, have rooting interests in this stuff. I have very severe rooting interest, as I know you know, but I also want to know what is actually going to happen, what's actually the truth, what the truth is. And I found over the years that prediction markets are a really good way of doing that. I've been, very, very heavily into them for, probably over a decade now. Every election, I'm on there constantly. We talk about them a lot. We use them in our models as we model the election.
Mhm.
And so this is a way to kind of break through a lot of the stuff that's going on, because I think when you think about the 2026 election, we know the mainstream media is going to lie to us. We know all the campaigns are going to lie to us. I think even at some level, we all expect our own side, the people we like and trust, to kind of tell us what we want to hear a little bit. So our goal
Stu,
there is to kind of go through that and push that to the side and look at what's actually going to happen.
one thing that drives me crazy though is we all know politicians are liars. That has always been one of the things. And
Yeah.
it's just all of a sudden over the last decade, since Trump really came onto here, we start talking about politicians we could trust. There's no such thing. Like, where did this come from of that person is trustworthy? Like, yeah, there's been some politicians. I'm like, can I sit down and have a beer with them? Sure. They seem like they might be normal enough, right? It's like George Bush. He's a frat boy. I can absolutely sit down with George Bush and drink. Barack Obama, I hate his policies, but I feel like I could have a beer with him, talk basketball, right? Like, you feel like you could do some of those things. If we talk politics, we might fight, but basketball, we're in.
Mhm.
But it's like it was never like I trust them. Like, there is no trust in politics. We know they're all lying to us, top to bottom. It's just, are they going to do a little bit of what they say? That's always what we've hoped for. I don't
Yeah,
know. That's where I've always been.
that's the smart. We have a very low hurdle. It's a low hurdle to
Yeah,
clear,
yeah.
and if you can get something out of a politician, if they can improve your life in some small way, we cheer it because we don't expect anything. Rightfully
No,
so.
no,
You
they
know,
suck.
one of my favorite things about prediction markets, in a way that I've been able to make money out of over the years because of them, is we're just obsessed with this stuff, right? We're watching it all the time. We
Mhm.
see who these people are. We watch them in day-to-day life. We see the promises they make and then what they actually do. And often a lot of these markets are priced in a way that you're supposed to trust them. Like, they say X and therefore it looks like X is going to happen.
Mhm.
When your senator,
Yeah.
your terrible congressman,
Yep.
they're going to fold at the last second.
Yep.
And that is like, it's like a market inefficiency. You could go in there and find these people where they're going to go the wrong way.
Mhm.
They're going to fold. They're going to give into some big interest, some special interest group. So you're able to kind of go in there and invest in the failure is coming. And I look at it this way: politicians have been taking money from us for a very long time. It's time that we make some money off of them and what they're doing to us. At least we should get paid for the pain.
Whoever bought in on Polymarket or Kalshi with no on the Save Act is going to be really rich, because they're certainly not going to pass the Save Act. We'll get to that a little bit later, but I want to touch on your next show that just started. That is one that we're kind of invested in, because your new co-host actually was a guest on my show, the Alex Cuesta Show, which is still Cuestacast. It's kind of, it hasn't changed much, just new name. But Stu and Dave Do America. So there was a time where you were attempting to do America alone, and
Mhm.
now you have
Realize
had
it
to
was
bring in a friend. I know that
my
was one
third
of your
task.
promos. I
Yes.
ripped that promo from you completely. But so what is Stu and Dave Do America? Is it a lot of the same? What do we got going on here?
Well, I'm getting older. My endurance is not what it once was. It's an entire country. Yeah, no, it's so yeah, I did Stu Does America for 6+ years. And it was a lot of fun. I really loved doing that show.
It was an
Um,
awesome show. I enjoyed watching
oh,
it. You know, when I could. I'm not going to say I was up every single night, but I'd be flicking through. I'd be like, "Hey, Stu's on."
I mean, I barely watched it every night. Don't worry about it.
You were
It's,
barely there, just
yeah,
glazing through.
yeah. Um, but it was, it was a lot of fun to do. But it was me. It was just me. And one of the
Yeah.
reasons I started doing that show back in the day is because, Glenn. He'll occasionally get on his rants. He runs his mouth quite a bit, and I have a lot of stuff that I want to say too. And so a lot of times Glenn was great about letting me, rant and rave. And I don't know if he was listening to half of the stuff I said, but at least he was there and letting me
He was
talk.
prepping for the
Um,
next segment after the commercial.
yeah, exactly. He was thinking about what donut he was going to get out of the box.
I mean, my favorite is when I know Glenn left the studio is when you would close out the show. Like you
Yeah.
would do the last the 4 minutes of the show. I know Glenn had already left because Glenn would not let anyone finish the show if he was there. I was like, oh, Glenn had somewhere to be. Stu's
Oh, yeah.
finishing the show.
No, it would be hilarious. He'd just come back in and be like, "Hey, I got a plane I got to catch. Can you do the last 8 minutes?" I'm like, "All right."
Guess so.
Good thing I have experience, right?
I mean, it was an incredible opportunity, and working with Glenn, of course, over all that time. Like we wound up building such such a trust with each other, right? Like I always knew that he was doing what he thought was right, and he knew he could lean on me whenever he needed to. So it was a great partnership, and I loved it. But Studios America was a great opportunity for me to kind of be able to get my own views out, especially when it wasn't something that necessarily interested Glenn as much as it interested me. But it was just me. It was me. We have a very small staff, and I was basically doing all that, maybe a guest segment here and there. But other than that, it was just me talking straight for an hour, and it took a lot. A lot went into that show.
Absolutely.
So when I decided I wanted to do this prediction market thing, predictable, I thought my initial thought was I don't know that I can do a second thing anymore. I don't think I could do Studios America anymore because it's just doing both of those things at the same time would have been a lot. And kind of behind the scenes, we were talking about maybe switching it up a little bit if it was possible because the Blaze have been great partners with
Yeah.
me and they've been able to kind of let me do what I want, which is a lot of fun. And we were talking about some ideas, and one of the people that I had on the show a bunch of times was Dave Landau. And
Yep.
I mean, Dave is freaking funny, man. This guy
He really is funny.
is so funny, and he's kind of unique in the conservative space. I mean, there's not a lot of people. There's people who are funny. Like, I'll tell jokes. I go onto their shows and people are really funny. I listen to, some of the conservative commentators, they could definitely make me laugh. But Dave's like another level. Like he is a legitimate, like top end comedian.
Yes.
He can, you guys have probably seen him. He's been on Rogan. He's been on Kill Tony. He's been on all these huge shows. He can roll with all those guys. And the fact that I just get to go in there and, rant for a second about like some dumb graph and then he makes me laugh about it. I mean, I can't have more fun than that,
And he's not afraid to be conservative as a comedian, right? Because we've seen a lot of these comedians that are like, they were conservative when it was convenient, when Trump was hot, right?
Yeah.
And I have no problem saying like Andrew Schultz and things like that. Like they are, but I think they were always a little more libertarian, liberal leaning. They just saw where it was. But Dave's always been conservative. Dave has been this guy, and that's who he is. And yeah, I love that you could do that with him. Now, one of the important questions here, and I think this is brass tack stuff.
Okay.
Please tell me that Beavis and Butthead Do America was the main reason why you renamed your show this.
It's funny that was we did realize that. Of course, the original thing that Beavis and Butthead was, of course, that title was based on, which I will leave out here as my daughter sits here and does beats next to me.
Please do.
We talked about that, and we were like, this is it's just a funny idea, and it's a funny way of looking at it, and it provides for so many ridiculous meaningless titles. Like if you remember on Stu Does America, that would always be Stu Does whatever the
Yeah,
topic does,
some of
and the
them got
person.
really, really potentially dicey.
Yes. One of our first shows, like Stu Does Bernie Sanders, and it was like, it's a strange thing to want to put on the screen. But we were though a lot of them wound up playing out like that. And it was, it was a funny thing to do, and it's like bringing Dave on. I mean, Dave, you don't need to egg him on to go that direction, as
No,
you
not
know.
one bit.
It's actually pretty much the opposite. Like we did a show today, and we were talking about the Trump AI photo he posted was the topic, and I got on. I was like, look, we're about to talk about this particular topic. I need you to make sure we have a show tomorrow. That's what that's the goal.
Dump button for him. Like, is it like dump button 2 minutes
for
Dave? Like,
it needs to be. It needs to be. But no, he's really fun. I mean, he's a pro too. He's a guy who's been doing this for a long time. He's not just a really funny guy that can just jump into these situations and doesn't know what he's doing. He's a pro. He can adapt. I've heard him on shows where you can go. I mean, obviously his history. You go back with people like Anthony Cumia. He'll go a totally different direction, much harder.
Absolutely.
Where what we're doing here is it's obviously based on the news still. But he is able to walk that line really well. He's so talented. I was telling him today, like we went to a break. I'm like, it's really easy to do the show with you. Like it's easy. It's fun. It's easy. And so far we've had a great time. We're only six shows in, but we've had a great time so far.
Yep. So quick question and answer. Caveat ties. Is Dave still doing that show with Quarter Black? No, Normal World is not there. It is done. Quarter Black is back doing another one of his 75 assignments.
So, he does more on his own YouTube channel now. Yeah. And he does like man on the street things.
It might be better for Quarter Black to go and relax and do some more stuff. But no, Dave is over there, and he's also doing his comedy touring all the time too. Dave is a busy man. Adam Pizza saying he was great on Steven Crowder. Yeah, Dave was awesome on Crowder. And I think that also helped build his chops getting into the political space more, right? So I think that helped him mold away from just being a comedian that is a conservative and likes it to, okay, this is how we also talk politics while infusing that. Because I think, I'm not going to compare you and Crowder, but I think you guys have a similar style where you're serious about politics, but you also have that comedy about you as well. It's not just always straight politics.
Yeah, I mean, the world can be kind of miserable, I mean, especially when it's funny because I hesitate a little bit on that because the real world isn't miserable. Like I've got a great family. We've got I was watching my daughter play softball. I watched my son play baseball. Like this is like the American dream in action, and I live it on a day-to-day basis. So the real world is awesome. But like when you get into the news world, it just goes into dark places. Yeah, it does, And so that's one of the things I like about both of these things. It kind of gives me a little bit of a layer of separation from having to deal with kind of the torturous existence of the news right now. And you've touched on this before. There's so much going on the conservative side right now. Like that. It's like it's nice to be able to kind of step back from that and talk to people that you really love talking to and have a great conversation about the news, because like I noticed this in my real world life. Like I go out to dinner on Friday night with a bunch of friends. We're talking about the news. We'll talk about what's going on in the world, but it doesn't devolve into this insanity. It doesn't devolve into like what we see online. I mean,
and you have to hold yourself back sometimes, right? Because it's like I may know more about this, but it's not worth ruining this whole dinner. And my wife pinching me, going, "Honey, we said we weren't going to do this."
Oh, she's way worse than I am.
Yeah,
she's the one that's going to push the conversation into the most awkward place possible. She doesn't care at all. I'm much more reserved than her in those situations.
But if you're on like the Twitter sphere and you're on other certain things, your mind with these topics becomes kind of more of an attack mode thing.
Yes.
It's just you don't have to be responding. Just looking at it all happen, you're just all of a sudden put more into an attack mode. So you got to reel that back once you're in the real world.
Absolutely. That is so true, David. It's like I came up in this industry. I got into radio. That's what I wanted to do, was radio. Mm-hmm. I love radio. I fell in love with it when I was a kid, and I wanted to do it my entire life. And so as I kind of came up in that world, you don't have any idea. You hear these people on the air, they're hilarious, they're fun, they seem like they all get along.
Yep.
And then you walk into the building and you realize, something totally different, right? Like these people are a lot of times don't like each other.
So
They're
you're
also
telling me you, Glenn, Pat, Jeffy, Keith, you all actually hate each other. Is that what I'm hearing?
well, Jeffy, yes,
Yeah, okay.
100%. Obviously.
I mean, listen, but you know what? You guys, I will say something. It was you guys at the Blaze that decided to make Jeffy come in 5 days a week. He was happy only being there once or twice.
Look,
you
I was
guys
happy as
forced
well.
him into the building.
I did everything I could to block that. And behind the scenes, I used all my political capital. I just couldn't get it done, unfortunately.
God, you guys have been together for almost 30 years, that group, right? But yeah, I think Keith about 20, 25, 20-ish, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
And-
started with Glenn in 1997, 98 in that
And I know
range.
Pat came along not too long after that, because I know you
Glenn and
guys
Pat go
each
back
had
even
shows
farther.
together. Yeah,
Yeah,
Glenn and Pat
go
had a
back.
show. You and Pat
Mhm.
had a show. Like it was.
Oh yeah,
You guys have done a ton.
And my experience about talking about going into radio and seeing those dynamics behind the scenes has nothing to do with that group. I mean, you, Glenn,
I'm starting rumors over here.
no, this is
No
good.
one from the Blaze is ever going to be allowed to come on the show again.
No, Glenn, Pat, me, Jeffy, Keith, Sarah. I mean, that entire group, like, we all love each other. Like, honestly, like they are just like, my friends for life. And like, and I will not say that publicly about Jeffy. If you could just edit this out of the, that part of it out of the,
well, that was,
show.
you just misspoke. You just included him because he's the kind of, you just drag him along, right?
Yeah, no,
he's the one friend that it's like, God, do we have to invite him? Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, Jeffy's never coming on this show. I make fun of Jeffy when I have Keith on. I make fun of him.
You just keep poking, man.
Listen, if I asked him, I think I messaged him nicely once. He never responded. So now I'm just mean with anybody he knows. That's kind of my method.
It's fair. It's a fair thing to do. I think he deserves every bit of it. But he's actually a great dude, and it's a great group of people. But it's one of those things that how it affects the online conversation is like when I went into that industry, I thought everyone who got into radio kind of had a little bit of insanity in them, right? Like they were all a little bit crazy, because why would you get into that into that world unless you wanted to be, right? And that world incentivizes a bunch of strange activities, right? When I'm out to dinner with my friends, if I say something and I know the other people might not agree with it, I'm going to say it in a most gentle way possible. Try to like convince them and persuade them, or maybe just try to get my point across without getting them angry and leaving the dinner. That's totally the opposite of what your goal is on a show. Your show job is to say it in the most interesting way possible, maybe an offensive way to get attention to what you're saying. And what we've done here in our society here is a little experiment where we gave everybody essentially a radio tower in their pocket.
Well, here we are.
And so here we are.
Everyone has a podcast. Everyone could do radio.
Yeah. And what I realized after a long time doing this is that it's not that crazy people get into radio. It's that radio and broadcasting makes you crazy, right?
Yeah,
so now everyone is broadcasting their views all the time. They're all trying to say it in the most interesting way possible to get people to like and click and retweet. It's just a lot of really bad incentives. And then spread that over, say, 330 million people or so, you have a couple of problems.
So did it ever dawn on you at any time when you were, doing your show on the Blaze, which has a massive reach, doing Glenn's show, that's like, my words are going out to millions, like millions of people are listening to the things I say. And, did that ever, and even still now, like with, Stu and Dave, that's a huge audience on the Blaze. Like, does it ever touch you at some point? It's just like, okay, things I say have gravity. Like there's gravitas. Like I'm just Stu, but do you ever think about that at any time?
I mean, very early on, I think I did. When we were first doing shows, like one of the first, real high profile talk shows we did was Glenn. Glenn was the host at that point. I wasn't really even on the air at all.
Yeah.
And I was producing the show though, and it was one of Glenn's pretty early. I mean, Glenn was a super successful like morning DJ type host. He was a morning show host.
I love hearing his stories about how much he hated that towards the end.
He hated it towards the end, which is when I came around.
Just drinking and playing whatever the hell was there and not caring.
He did not care at all. I mean, he would come in. I had to start the show on the morning show. It would start at 6:00. And we would have the first segment. We would schedule a segment something that happened in the previous day. And then it would be like 2 songs, then commercial, then come out with another song. All of this just designed so that Glenn could come in at 6:24 instead of 6:00. And he would walk in I would be sweating. I'd be like, oh my gosh, is he going to come in today? I'm just here. I'm not. And then we were coming up to the end. He could walk in every single time. He lived like a quarter mile down the street, and he'd walk in right at like 6:24, and he'd act like he had been there the entire time prepping. When at that point he really just didn't care. But we started doing a talk show. Did a few episodes of it, and because he was really well known in the industry as a talented guy, he was able to land a show on WABC in New York, which is the number
That's what I
one
remember.
station, number one.
yeah,
You know, you guys are Jets fans, right? So like,
Yeah.
you guys.
I used to listen to
know.
Rush on 77 all the time. Rush Limbaugh was a staple. We grew up Rush babies. My dad had Rush on every single day.
Yeah, I mean, I that's one of the reasons I got into radio was because
Yeah.
of Rush Limbaugh,
He's
and
amazing.
yeah,
Rest in
he's
peace.
incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely, national treasure. But
Oh.
we speaking of Rush, we went in there, and Rush normally broadcasted from Florida, but he had a studio in the WABC facility in case he was up in New York. Whenever he was up there, he would do the show from there.
You guys weren't allowed to touch the golden mic, though.
No,
The EIB mic was not allowed to be touched.
we went in that room. I have pictures of us. That's where we did the first show from.
Friggin' cool.
And it was the coolest thing in the world. And there's like a picture. Glenn loves this picture of like him. He's like deep in thought and prep. And I'm just like, I'm like looking around, like, I can't believe you're here. This is incredible. I'm just like, I'm 20 years old, and I'm just like,
the EIB and everything. It's so awesome, man.
Yeah, it really incredible. And then so it was really it was one of those things that to go through that. It was at the very beginning, we were really nervous. Like that WABC show, I remember us having so much prep that my plan for that show was, if Glenn like forgot how to do a show, he could just read stories for 3 hours. Like if he forgot how to do anything, he could just read the stories.
I mean, but he's a good storyteller, and I'd imagine that's something he always had. So like he can read a news article, and like I enjoy, because Glenn is such an art theater nerd in the best way, because when he does his Edgar Allan Poe reads every single Halloween, it is one of my favorite times. Like he belonged on a stage somewhere. Like if he wasn't doing this, he would have been somewhere on a stage doing something like that. Like that's
totally agree. Theater nerd is an interesting way to put it, because he actually Glenn is an artist. He really is.
Yes, he is.
He is an artist on the radio. I mean, a lot of people will say, "Oh gosh, he's just this harsh right-wing talk show host." I mean, you don't know anything about the guy. You've never listened to him at all.
Listen to him. He's a big friggin' teddy bear. He cries once a week on the radio. Like he really does. Like did that stop getting awkward all the time that he cried in studio? Like was it just like, oh, Glenn again? Like
you get used to it. But I mean, one of the things that makes Glenn great, and he's in the Radio Hall of Fame. I mean, it is, you made
sure to remind us he was many a times when he was doing Hall of Fame worthy things on the show.
Whenever he screws up, I make sure we did the big drop of another moment of the Radio Hall of Fame. But he is in the Radio Hall of Fame, and he deserves to be, because he could tell a story like nobody else. He's incredible. I mean, like there's people like Paul Harvey who are on that level, but very few. And I had seen him do radio, and very early on he started doing things that I had never heard anything like them, like these produced stories. And he would just take out like movie soundtracks. He'd be like, "Oh, you know what we need is the soundtrack to Patriot games with Harrison Ford." I'm like, why? How am I going to find that?
And that was before everything was on the internet, right? That was before it was all like you had to go and figure out how to rip those things from somewhere.
I was going to like records, like CD stores, and trying to find and I'm like, I don't think they have the Patriot games, but he would put that in, and he put in like track four, and he put it in there, and he would just like tell a story over the music without even listening to the music. And he would tell a story, and he would like, the story would swell at the same time the music swelled, as if he had practiced it 100 times. It was incredible. And he had done that a bunch of times, throughout early on when we had started doing the show together. But it wasn't until we went on the first tour together, he decided he wanted to do I think it was a Christmas tour was the first one. And he decided he wanted to do a Christmas tour. And I was like, that's cool. Like, we'll get there. We'll talk to the audience. He'll tell some stories about politics or whatever. And we got there, and I watched this guy just turn into like a stage for, at times, comedian. At times he was crying in front of his audience, and the entire thousands of people dead silent, pin drop territory. I've never seen a person like own a room like Glenn did. The only other person, honestly, the only other person I'd even put in the same category was I went to see Dave Chappelle one time, and this was before he was so good, and I couldn't believe it. It was like it was in that time where he had kind of disappeared for a while, and he was only doing stand up. And it was the same type of thing. He was able to make the crowd like die laughing and then just be silent for 4 straight minutes as he's telling a story. And Glenn was able to just turn that on. And like, I don't think he had that, he had done, certainly performed before audiences, but it was incredible. I mean, and he's Glenn's a legit talent. He's one of those guys that actually deserves what he has.
The unfortunate part about this episode is we're going to have to delete it immediately because you've said way too many nice things about Glenn. And I think like you just killed all of your street cred in 29 years of work. Like,
so true. I can't say any of these things to him. I mean, I attempted to on my last episode that did not go well.
Well, Pat ruined it. Glenn ruined it. You guys all ruined it. That last episode was one of the funnier ones because everyone was there, and it was good. So another really hard-hitting question that I have for you is, now that you are away from the tyrant known as Glenn Beck, are you going to reclaim your name?
This is a great question.
You're not Stu. Your name isn't Stu.
It's
true. Like your stage name.
I know, it's weird. And like, who would pick Stu as a stage name? It doesn't make any sense.
Glenn, who can't remember somebody's name.
Yeah, that's kind of the story. I mean, for those who don't know, I was when I first started with Glenn, I was working. My first job in radio was working in the promotions department. So I was working in the promotions department, and that job was I think it was $6 an hour. And I went to various events that the radio station was holding. I would give out stickers.
I don't think they pay much more now, to be quite honest. Those events
Honestly,
are so incredible. I think it's like $12 maybe.
I would say the golden age was $6 an hour. Now they don't pay anybody at radio stations. But I'd hang balloons. I would meet listeners. Would hand out stickers. It was the basic stuff. And every once in a while, like one of the one of the hosts would come out, and then they're kind of like local big celebrities, right? Like people know who they are. So we go to like bars or whatever, and hundreds of people would come out, and it was a big deal. And so one of the first gigs that I did was a gig at a bar in New Haven, and I didn't know what I was doing yet. Like I was super nervous. I hadn't met any of the hosts yet. And so at the time, it's Glenn Beck and Vinny Pennant. Vinny is a good dude too. He's still in New Haven, and he does a great show in New Haven still, and he's a really funny guy. And so they did a really good show, and Vinny was like obsessed with Bon Jovi. I think to this day still is, like, loved Bon Jovi growing up.
My mom's favorite singer is Bon Jovi. She's seen him like 9 times.
I mean, if you guys are Jets fans, of course. You
hey, listen, I take Blue Eyes over Bon Jovi any day. That and Frankie Valli. Okay, those are my Jersey guys.
I'm with you on that. So, but he loved Bon Jovi. So it was a Bon Jovi live concert in that town that night. So they went to the concert first, and then they came to this bar. Now Glenn's sober at this point; he's not drinking. But Vinny, the exact opposite of whatever that is, he was many drinks. So he's coming back. He's hammered. It's a loud bar. And Vinny was very outgoing. He came up to me and he's like, "Oh, hey, who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm Steve. I work at the,
you don't even know your own name anymore. I'm Stu, Steve. Like you call yourself Stu for so many years.
It's so true. But it was a loud bar. He just heard st, and kind of just assumed it was Stu. Now, after that, there's a bit of a divergence as to what actually happened. I've heard the story told a million different ways. The true thing that happened was that I'm the only one who knows it. Now. Yes, exactly. Glenn has told the story 65 different ways. He has no idea what actually occurred. But what basically happened is Vinny, pretty soon after that, followed up with me and realized what my name was. Like he realized it was Steve, but he thought it would be funny. He was like the funny guy on the show, right? Like, so he was like, I've already invested too much. I'm just going to call you Stu. That's like after like 5 minutes. Like there's no reason for him to call me Stu. He just thought it was funny. So he was calling me Stu, thinking he'd never deal with me ever again in his life. And so after all of this happens, later on, months later, I have a meeting with Glenn. I kind of tell him what I want to do. Glenn is in that point you were talking about where he, Alex, you said, he's done with it completely. That's where he was. He wanted to get out. I wanted to get into talk radio. Coming off of listening to a lot of Rush Limbaugh, I listened to WIOD in Miami, and they had a great lineup. Rush was there, but it was also like Phil Hendry and Neil Rogers. I mean, it was a legendary radio station. And so I was like, I want to do talk. Like, that's what I wanted to do. So he wanted to do talk. He wanted to do an entertaining type of talk, and it just kind of worked out. We were at a gig where literally nobody showed up to see Glenn. There's no. It was a Toyota dealership. Nobody showed up, so we just got to talk for a couple of hours. And Glenn let me come in and be an intern, and that's kind of where it started. So Glenn, not knowing, he had heard Vinny call me Stu and just kind of assumed it was right. I didn't, I was like, it was kind of a
I'm
bit to
not
Vinny,
correcting
so
Glenn
I'm not
back.
going to correct him. He was the big guy on campus, so I wind up just kind of living with it, and to the point that now, if my wife comes in the room and she calls me, she will call Stu. She will not call Steve.
Now, when you guys
So
got married, was it Stu? Will you take her hand, or was it
no, I
Steve?
think
Like,
I think we got a Steven in there. Like the family, there's a few family members that still do. My mom will still call me Steven. There's relatives will do it. It's pretty rare though. It's usually when I'm in
that's
trouble with the
amazing.
law is the main time that I get called that.
Usually, when you go to the Super Bowl, you kind of figure out a way to get in trouble with the law every time. There.
Well, yeah, it's almost happened. I've seen some stuff. Certainly, I was there when I was there. I actually am, I think, the only person who filmed Dave Portnoy get arrested at the Super Bowl. I was there and I had
Will
my
you
phone
film
and I
that? That's
realized I was
awesome.
there. I was going out to get a drink. I think it was halftime. It was a halftime, or it was like maybe the end of the first quarter or something. And I walked out to go to the bathroom and get a soda or something. And I walked out there and I'm like, I see this guy struggling with a couple of cops. I'm like, I'm like, I think that's the Barstool guy. Like, so I just took out my camera and I was like filming the whole thing. And I got like 40 minutes of him being like
That's
arrested and dragged out. And he was banned, I think, until this past year. It was the
that's
first time he was left
crazy.
back in. Yeah.
So, as an Eagles fan, did you ever go underneath the old vet to the holding cell? Did you know? Do you remember that they had the holding cell for the rowdy Philly fans?
I
For
know the
they can get
story.
arrested and be put down. There was a justice at peace that would just do it on the spot.
It's true. It was very efficient. They needed it at that place.
It's
Everything I
Philadelphia,
hear,
yes.
everything I hear about that stadium, I'd actually never went to the Fed. So because I grew up
Oh,
in
yeah, yeah.
Connecticut. I born in New York, grew up in Connecticut. So I didn't live there. And I was an Eagles fan for
How the
inexplicable
hell did you
reasons.
become an Eagles fan? Obviously, Connecticut doesn't have a pro team, but you didn't go
Yeah.
Patriots because usually a lot of Connecticut fans, if they're Southern Connecticut, they'll go Giants. If they're Northern, they'll go Patriots. If they're more in New England,
Yeah.
how did you
Yeah.
get Philly out of that?
I have no idea. I mean, like
Like,
legitimately,
was there a
it's a
player? Was it like Ricky Waters? Like, who did you like at the time?
no, it
Because
was way
Ricky was
predating
older
that.
and like,
Yeah, it was, I don't know, honestly. Like, so my dad was a huge Giants fan.
yeah.
I had an uncle who I loved who was a huge Jets fan. I had a bunch of friends who were Patriots fans. Dan Andros, who pops on my show a decent amount.
Yeah.
He was one of my best friends from growing up. He was a Redskins fan. So I really don't know how it happened. I have a picture of myself when I was, I think, 7 years old in like a Ron Jaworski jersey
Okay, Jaws.
from
Yeah.
back in the
Yeah.
day. So going way back. And I was I don't know how it happened. I can't trace it back. My only theory on it, this is deep. You're at a deep cut here, but if you want to go
We're
down
doing
this
it.
road,
Well, that's what the Cuestacast is.
yeah, okay, we're deep. This is what happens about 38 minutes into the Cuestacast. We start getting stories like this.
We've gotten to zero politics, anything that you really talk about on your show, but I'm
Right.
liking it.
That's all right. This is fun. The first football game that I can ever remember is a bizarre. I remember a moment walking from my bedroom into my parents' bedroom and it being on the TV, and the details of it are a little sketchy, but one team was up 14-3. And I remember it was halftime. It was 14-3. And in my mind, as like a 6-year-old or whatever it was, I remember thinking, there's no way this team could come back. It was, I just thought it was like a total blowout and would never come
Yeah.
back. And of course, I remember that team came back, and I traced that game back to and found it at one point. And it was the year. I think it was the year after. It was the year after, or it was the year of the first time the Eagles went to the Super Bowl in 1981,
Okay.
when it was Jaworski. So my belief is, I must have watched that Super Bowl. I don't remember it, and picked the Eagles that day. And then from then on, I had many, to be honest, and I know you guys are Jets fans, so you're not going to feel bad for me right now, but
No.
in many years of torture because of that decision. The Eagles were just,
Zero. No, I
until
don't feel anything.
until 2017. It was torture. It was a long time,
Oh, yeah.
30-something years of close calls and losses and bad teams, fun teams, but bad teams. But then we finally got the Super Bowl, so it turned out okay.
I like how tracking this back is kind of like tracking back Ice Cube's Good Day. Like
Yes,
how
yes.
everyone was figuring out what was going on that day off of what he
Yes.
said in the lyrics.
Yes.
That's the same way to
It's absolutely true. I mean, it really is an archaeology project, and I'm dedicated to it because, like, the other thing that I have that is very, very strange is I'm a Toronto Blue Jays fan,
Yeah, I
which
don't
is
understand this either. Where did this come from? Why are you a
this
traitor?
is yes, I know, I know. This is a real story, an easy story for me to trace back though. My first little league team, I was like 5 years old or whatever. I played in a little league that just named the teams after real teams,
Yeah.
So
and
do
so
we.
I
Yeah.
got put on the Blue Jays, and I just was all of a sudden a Blue Jays fan, and I have not given it up. My kids are Blue Jays fans. My wife is a Blue Jays fan. So I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but at least I can trace it back. It's so frustrating to not know exactly how I became an Eagles fan.
How much did it piss you off to know that before you could just kind of like walk over the Canadian line and now we actually need like passports or like a separate ID or some crap just to go into Canada and watch? Like it used to be so easy. Like
Yeah,
just go right over the border, like, hey, we're just friends. There was
yeah.
barely a border here. Now it's like, no, you're not allowed to go in there. We're not like it's so dumb at this point. What's going on?
Now we're on like the borderline of war. I think at any
Yeah. Well, now,
I-
we have
No,
reasons
Canada's
to
never going to go. I'm not afraid of Mounties with maple syrup. They can't do anything. Like I'm not afraid of Canada, but there is no war. Like
No, it's true. It's and I love I have no problem with Canada. I think we should have good relations with them. And
I also
I
think
do.
their name should be Canada. I won't call them Canada. It's Canada. Canada flows
Canada.
off the tongue so much better.
It does. It does. It's funny though. I listened to so much Blue Jays content during the baseball season, and like it was weird listening to them because that sort of stuff really affected. Like you'd hear it in the voices of the callers. They were like
Yeah.
really legitimately angry about it. They're like, "We're not going to become the 51st state." And I'm like, "Guys, we're not. This
It
is
was a
not part of the
joke.
plan. It was a
It was
joke."
always a
But
joke. Like
yeah,
Trump is just one walking meme. Like that's
I
all the
know.
man is.
And I
So
get if you come from a foreign country, like you might not have that visibility. You might not understand Trump. It's hard to understand him, I think, when in the context of a normal president, but he's not a normal president.
no.
And so, I'd listen to these guys, they'd be like, we don't know if we want to go to spring training because it's in Florida. And it's like, guys, like, relax. Like, we
You're
promise
all
we're not
American on that team.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
the
They're
whole
all
team's
Americans.
American.
It is. They were all playing for the United States in the World Baseball Classic. I mean,
It's so
so
stupid.
anyway, it's a silly time, but it's fun. I mean, sports lets you release that stuff in a safe zone without driving
Yeah.
everybody nuts.
So I also have to request. There's two things. Number one, I need you and Dave to show up one day in the Beavis and Butthead t-shirts to your show. You guys absolutely need to wear those, and because it would just play with the whole entire "Do America" thing. And number two, I need one of you to recreate Andy Reid in the pump, pass, and kick. Have you ever seen that video of him when
Yes,
he's
he's
like I forget he was
huge.
like 10 and he's just like 20 times the size of everyone? You
Yes,
guys need to like recreate that somehow. Like make Dave dress up as him or something.
that would be funny. Actually,
Dave
and
does
he's
like the sketch.
speaking of tortured fans, he's a Lions fan, so he can feel the pain a little bit.
Yeah, they're right there with us. They're
Yes,
right
I
there
would
with the
say.
Jets.
Yeah. Other than recent success, they're right there with us.
I
Like,
mean,
Yeah.
we had mini spouts of success, right? But it's never
No,
gotten
yeah.
us to that hump. Like they're the same thing. Like, even, but you know what though? I feel no remorse for the Lions. Here's why: two generational talents
Yeah.
that they decide to not trade with Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson, and they
I-
both end up retiring early
I
because
also
they
feel
won't
like,
trade them. No,
I mean, they also let down Stafford. Stafford gave them his
But
life.
listen, at
Stafford's
least they
awesome.
traded Matt. Like they learned from their mistakes. They traded him before he was completely done. We missed at least 5 to 10 more years of Barry Sanders. At least Emmett Smithing himself towards the end, but still being the best running back in the history of the game. I wasn't alive for Peyton or Jim Brown, but man, Barry Sanders was just ridiculous. I've never seen a guy run full speed and still be able to juke. It's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah,
It's
he's one of those guys you could hit. I mean, I've gone down the YouTube rabbit holes with Barry Sanders highlights like 100 times. Every time I'm shocked by the moves,
oh my
and they
God.
still look amazing today. Like
Mhm.
you go back and you watch some of those older players, and I think it's important to judge a player into the context of their era, right? Like I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah.
stupid to say, "Oh, well, this guy couldn't play today." Well, he would have been training like the guys were today. Like it's a silly
It's so
argument.
different. Yes.
But even without that training, even without all the advanced science, you go back and you watch Jordan, you go back and you watch Barry Sanders,
Wayne Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky, they still look as good or better than anyone
Yes.
right now. Like there's nobody. I mean, I love LaShawn McCoy, for example, who
Yeah,
was one of the
Shady's
guys
amazing. Yeah.
Shady, he had moves that were in the realm of Barry Sanders at times, but still, there's just not people who could do what he did. It was incredible.
I actually
That's the
saw
comparison.
I
Yeah.
saw something going around on Twitter about Pistol Pete Maravich.
Oh,
People are commenting basically like he's just doing things that we see normally today, but it's like, yeah, he was doing that stuff back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
That's how
He's
crazy
50
that
years
was.
ahead of his time. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
he's one of the greatest scorers of all time. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no doubt
And
about it.
and that's back when, like, unless you could do it consistently like Pistol Pete, you would be benched, right? Because that's the thing people need to remember. The street ball style isn't new, but it was just very much of you do what you're told. The coach isn't going to take your crap, right?
Mhm.
And we saw that it didn't take until basically Allen Iverson in the early mid 90s to really break and bring that full street ball style in, because
my kid's
Isaiah
friend,
flirted with it. There were guys that flirted with it, but it wasn't until he came in there when the NBA was like, all right, we're not going to call carries, I guess. But it was him that brought that fully in. And now we're seeing, I don't know what the hell we're seeing in the NBA. Everyone's trying to be Golden State and just shoot threes. There's no more real big men, even though Jokic proves that a valuable big man is the most important thing in all basketball. But it's,
And
are you a
Wemby,
fan
yeah.
of basketball, Stu? Do you watch it, or did
Oh, yeah,
you watch
yeah.
it?
Yeah, no, I do. I love. But I should point out too, by the way, we've now talked more sports on this show than I did in 30 years with Glenn Beck.
Well, listen, could you though? Could you? But Glenn is recently a football. It is still really weird when he talks football because he knows a little something. Like, thank you to his son for being interested in football and
Yes.
making him. When I hear him talk about like Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, I'm like, who is he? Like, Glenn needs to stop talking sports. It's weird. I don't like it.
It's very weird. Very, very weird.
He was
But
around
yeah,
you, Keith, Pat, Jeffy. Like, you think he would have got something from you guys? You guys are all massive sports fans, but no.
he
Took his
just
son
went
like
into like a real-time coma when we would start talking about sports. He just spaced out as if he couldn't even hear what we were saying. That is basically like he just go into a trance. But you're right. He did pick up at least a little bit towards the end, and I do love the NBA. Like I'm more now an NBA fan than a college fan. I used to
not a fan of
love
college. I
the
like
tournament.
college.
Yeah.
I like college, but my thing is, and when I got realized as I got older, they're all really bad at their sport, except for a few of them. Like, they're good. Don't get me wrong. They're
Yeah.
talented, but they're nowhere near the pros.
It's
Like,
incredible.
people talk about like, oh, college, they try more. Yeah, because they have to. They're not as good. Like, and the clangs. Like, if you watch a regular season college basketball game right now, it's almost unbearable, unless it's two of the best teams. Like, they miss mid-rangers that if you see the NBA, if they have that little light, it's always in. College,
Yeah.
it's sometimes in. Like, I don't know. I like
That's
college sports, but I don't compare them in any way.
That's why I really like to watch like somebody who's at the highest level of skill, especially jump shooter, like an Angel Reese. When I see her, it's just...
I thought you were gonna go Brittany Griner with that one, but oh my god, that was good. She recently got traded, and that was supposed to be a big deal. But
about that, I also saw Whitlock put something about ESPN putting like WNBA news at number one. He's like, this is not true. He's
a lot of people did that.
No way this is true.
They push that. I still get the ESPN blast and stuff and things like that. And they were giving me draft results. Like, I don't care about WNBA draft results. Like,
No.
I'll follow some of them. Like, I think Asia Wilson's incredibly talented. I think Caitlin Clark is good. Like, right?
Yeah.
Like, Sophia Cunningham is a good player and she's adorable. Like, I'm going to be appropriate here. But there's like some spots. Like, I grew up, you probably too, like Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops, like all those players that were innovative and they were fantastic. And that's when the WNBA was like, I think it was at its peak when they were there doing things that we didn't see women do before.
Right.
Now it's just Caitlin Clark doing that. Like,
Yeah,
and they want to kill that girl. Like,
I
it's
know
so
they want to murder her. It's so sad. I will say I really do like watching Caitlin Clark. Like, that's
she's a good player.
It's the exception to me, like of the rule. And you I think it was, I'm not alone when I saw the ratings after she got injured. It was like 80% drop offs. But look, she's a generational special person, right? Like, she's able to do things that nobody. I mean, the entire time I've been alive, that league was a complete joke. And the fact that people,
100%.
I talk to guys who are huge sports fans who are like, I can't, I don't want to watch that. I'm watching Caitlin Clark's game, and that's a totally new thing.
I don't want to be mean, but it's like, I don't want to watch layups and chest shots. Like, I'm not big into that. Like, I need to, like, that's just like, I want to see dunks. And don't get me wrong, the NBA right now is It's in a little bit of a better spot 'cause I think you're seeing a little bit of a retro style with
It's
some
a
of the
little
new
bit too much
superstars.
foul ball, though. A little bit
But
too
a lot of foul ball. But Anthony Edwards is more old school. Cade Cunningham is one of my favorite players to watch because
much.
he is a
He's awesome.
1990s throwback. He's a mid-range monster, and I love that. Jokic, like this young crop of guys plays much more like 90s than that group in the interim between, Wade and them and whatever the hell it was. Like this new crop of superstars is very much similar to what I enjoyed watching. But I
Yeah.
agree with you, Dave. There's a lot of foul ball.
Mhm.
Who's your favorite NBA team?
It's funny, like I'm big baseball interest, big basketball, or big football rooting interest, obviously with the Eagles and Blue Jays. I don't have a massive like rooting interest for basketball. I when I was in New York growing up, I wound up kind of falling in love with rooting pretty hard for a lot of those Knicks teams. This is the Ewing,
Oh God.
Starks,
Yeah.
Oakley era.
Yeah,
That
how
was
could
when
you
everyone
not?
was scoring. Yeah, it was like a 70. Every game was 73, 71, but it was
Sprewell
still.
after he got done choking PJ Carlissimo and then
Yes.
came over there and
Good reference, yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yep, so you
until
had
this day,
that.
he freaking choked. That was crazy.
Yeah, like I kind of like basketball is a sport I really like for certain. Like I like styles. I like watching. Like I fell in love. And this is back in when I was in high school. It was the Loyola Marymount run of
Yeah.
of the the early '90s,
That was
and
such a
I
Cinderella. Yeah.
love that team. Like Paul Westhead is my favorite coach of all time. I love that style. So a lot of times I kind of gravitate towards that run and gun type of style. I just love that. But I love watching Charlotte play right now. Like they're a lot of fun
The
to watch.
LaMelo question is so weird because
Yeah.
LaMelo's playing so well, but you can see he needs to be off the team. Like it's so weird. Like he's playing so good, but I
Yeah.
don't think he fits what they're building with the other two young superstars.
It'll
Like
be
it's such
interesting. I
a
mean,
bizarre
he has, changed, I think, enough to fit. I mean, the team has been they started 4-14 and they're playing tonight in the play-in game. All right.
thing.
So
It's so crazy, and
it's
they
pretty
should win.
incredible. And he has been a big part of that. He hasn't been like like people were talking about Trey Young, for example, got traded from Atlanta, and
Mhm.
they got a lot better seemingly after he left, even though he's obviously a talented player.
Mhm.
Ball has been able to fit in there, and play within that context now that he kind of has to. And I think it's a really interesting thing to watch. They're just like a really fun team. I
They
enjoy
are.
watching Charlotte quite a bit.
There's a few good young fun teams. OKC, obviously, the Spurs are really good. I
Okay.
mentioned Kate Cunningham, the Pistons. Like, and here's the thing: we're Brooklyn Nets fans, so it's like, why can't we do what
I actually,
Charlotte and
yeah,
Detroit
I know.
and
I
OKC? Why
actually,
can't we
well,
do what they do?
I did watch some
Yeah,
of the more
you
recent
just feel
games where
terrible
like
for
all
us
of our
right now.
starters are out, and our young guys at least play with some intensity. So at
Yeah.
least some of that.
Wow, Nets and Jets. That is
Dude,
a
it's rough.
combo. That
It's
is a
rough.
combo of pain. Wait, how
Yeah,
much does your therapy bill every year?
you don't even know. That's
Did
the
you see
worst
the?
part.
I hate to torture you with this, but I did see the other day on Twitter. I have a bunch of Jets fans, friends,
Mhm.
and we were in a group chat, and I did see someone post the stat that Rory McIlroy had won 2 Masters since the Jets had their last interception,
Yes,
Yep,
yes.
which is an
with a
incredible
defensive
stat.
head coach and a head
Yeah,
coach that was a great coordinator over at the Lions.
yeah, yeah.
And we had Sauce Gardner for half the
Yeah,
season.
To
yeah.
be fair, though, Sauce wasn't some kind of interception machine.
No, he wasn't. He
So,
wasn't.
No.
but
I
like,
want to.
no,
I want to jump to some comments here. So
Yeah, sorry, we're
no,
off
it's
on the
fine.
sports band.
No,
Well, we're
it's
in
fine.
deep
He's
the
Charlotte
same.
Hornets talk.
Yeah.
Caveat ties more like false dough. I like to like that. At a pizza, Barry Sanders should have had a Super Bowl. I mean, the issue with him is his line was one of the worst in the league for about 10 years. His quarterbacks were up and down. I think his best quarterback was Ty Detmer, maybe. They weren't that good. And he only had Herman Moore to kind of ease any pain on the outside as a wide receiver. Like they had nothing else. So he just kind of got his ass beat for 10 years and still was the best running back in the history of the game. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
crazy.
and they were running a run and shoot offense, which was I thought a fun offense, but also no
Yeah.
tight ends on the field most
No.
of the time, and like there just wasn't. I mean, there's a reason why he left, but
They
it
were
was still
almost a
fun to watch.
modern, they were almost like a modern spread zone read. Like we've seen a lot of teams go to like the zone concept because
Mhm.
their line was so bad. They kind of did that as well. And just like Barry, find whatever hole pops up and go through it. And that's I don't think they really had like gap anything. They're like, go right to the center and wherever there's a hole, go Barry.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
it's, uh, Adam Pizza saying, I know someone who saw Barry Sanders at Walmart. He seems like the type of guy that isn't larger than life. Like, Barry Sanders, but he's not, he was never the biggest guy. He's probably like, I think listed at 6'6'1". So it's not like he's a person that you're going to look at and be like, it's not Gronk, right? Gronk's a monster. You're going to notice Gronk because he looks like Malibu Ken on steroids. Like, you're going to notice that. Like, you're not going to like Barry. You'll know him if you're a sports fan. He's probably just unassuming though. Nate G, modern basketball is trash. A lot of people will say that the style's coming back. It is coming back slowly. It's not Golden State's going out of vogue in terms of everybody shoot a 7 million threes, and we're starting to see a little more inside out ball.
But at least with Steph and Clay, it made sense. They were
Dame. It made sense. It made sense for Dame. It made sense for Trey, but everyone was doing it. It's like, stop it. Adam Pizza saying modern sports suck comparatively. It's the rules, not the players. I'm going to say that. I think the players are still good, if not sometimes better, because they train more. They're more conscious about what they eat. The rules make it unwatchable. You can't hit a quarterback. You can't foul a superstar. The stupid challenges in baseball, even though they're quick, I think are dumb. I hate instant replay. I want to get rid of it in all sports. I think no sports should have instant replay. I don't know. Stu, what do you think about instant replay? I think it's ruined sports. I think it's made officials lazy. I think we should get rid of it and deal with human error.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with human error. I do like getting the calls right. I do think, though, there's a real wide variety. There's like a sport that I think instant replay really, really works incredibly well in is tennis. I don't know how much you guys ever watch tennis.
Yeah, tennis is actually...
It's awesome. Like, it's a big part of it. Like, the crowd gets excited. The ball's on a little screen coming down. I love that. So I think I wouldn't say I'm decided on the baseball challenge yet. Like, so far I'm okay with it, but like I want to see how it goes. The one that's terrible is basketball, though. I mean, basketball legitimately these games are being ruined by the constant stoppages within the last couple of minutes of these games. It's terrible.
And I know you guys at the Blaze don't consider soccer a sport, but VAR is also awful. You ask soccer fans the video review for goals. It is one of the worst. The VAR system is miserable. It is one of the worst. But I know you guys over there at the Blaze don't consider soccer a sport, so I'll just let it go. I don't want to hear any good positive talk, though, about the World Cup. I refuse to hear it. It's not allowed. You guys should need to be rooting for Iran. Oh, wait, sorry. They're not going to come. Oh, okay. Anyway, so Adam Pizza. Oh, no, we did see that. Adam Pizza also saying, you mean Brock Griner? Yes, Brock. She's a lost member of Milli Vanilli. 100%. There is no other way to see her. Nate saying me bounds and he bounds on the same team now. Right. Yeah. So mean. Adam Pizza, Monster Jam is the only good sport these days. I mean, I didn't go to Monster Jam. I went to the knockoff, like Monster Trucks. It wasn't Monster Jam. It was like the Hot Wheels one. And it was actually friggin' awesome. The competition was fun. Caveat ties, LaMelo Yellow. Adam Pizza, Barry lived in Wichita, Kansas, of all places. I mean, yeah, and then I have some sizes. He's listed at 5'9" and 5'8". I don't think he was that small. He wasn't as small as Darren Sproles. He was definitely a little bit bigger, but maybe not. I don't know. What else? Caveat ties saying, I know that because he's the same height as me. Okay, maybe. Nate saying, no way, modern hockey is peak. I think you'd have some old school people arguing that the Hull era and things like that were better. Hockey is good. All right. So, Stu, we're not going to get started talking about politics an hour into the show.
I'll actually ask I think a very pertinent sports question now.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on Jalen Hurts going forward?
Ooh,
I have Eagles fans friends. They're mixed out there.
They're mixed. I love Jalen. Like, I think last year you had a situation where after losing their offensive coordinator, things went downhill. Also, I will say too that the line has been utterly great for many, many years. And last year was the first year where injuries and maybe a drop off in play really started to affect them.
When Jason Kelce retires, that's a huge part of it. And, people don't realize the chemistry needed for those five guys. And when you build it and you have a veteran and a leader like that is like, hey, this is how we're going to do things, an extension of your offensive line coach. That's massive of who's going to be that veteran leader there.
Yep. And it's true. So I think that was a bigger part of the problem last year. Again, they still went to the playoffs. They still should have won the playoff game. I mean, they completely blew a playoff game. And again, the previous year, I might note, they not only were in the Super Bowl, but won the Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts was the MVP of the Super Bowl.
I know.
So it's like one of these things. Like the guy's proven it multiple times. He's also the probably the hardest worker in the NFL. He is constantly incredibly focused. He's unflappable.
He's proved everyone wrong. I didn't think Jalen Hurts was going to be successful coming out of Bama there. Like I don't
thought the
trust
pick was
any
crazy
Bama
at the time.
Yeah.
I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, like they had Carson Wentz at the time who looked like the franchise guy for years and years and years to come.
And before Jalen Hurts, Carson, before he gets hurt, was having an MVP season when Jalen Hurts stepped in. So it was such a weird thing.
I still think he should have won the MVP that year. And
what, he played 13 games, 14 games before going down?
It was like, all I remember, and the details are a little hazy in my mind. I love how deep we're going on this. This is hilarious.
We are sports fans as well. So
I appreciate that. But what is your goal as a quarterback in a regular season is to get your team to be the number one seed,
and a bye,
right?
Yeah.
He got them all the way there before he got hurt. I think they had to win one more game against like the worst team in the league to get the number one overall slide. They were like 11-1, I think, at that point. And Brady wound up winning it that year. But honestly, like even with Wentz missing multiple games at the end of the year, he still had more touchdown passes than Brady did. He was incredible that year.
No, it was an
the injury did kill him.
year for Carson Wentz. I think people forget about that because how he's been since. Yeah. But that year was ridiculous. He was showing something incredible.
So I have another question on that front. Adam Schefter just came out and said that. Oh no, we're doing no problem. Adam Schefter just came out and said the criticism with Jalen Hurts isn't the same as people that were in his same draft class, I think, with like Burrow and Justin Herbert. Now, my argument with Schefter is everyone's been ripping Justin Herbert over the last few years, saying the guy can't get it done.
He can't win a
Burrow has gotten a pass because of his injuries, but I also want to argue that injuries are a part of greatness, right? You got to be there. I think Schefter's an idiot with this because they've gotten a ton of criticism, right? Like it hasn't just been Jalen Hurts. Like Jalen Hurts gets scrutinized. But I really feel like people have been being like, Burrow's not durable. Nobody like, as a Jets fan, I didn't want, Burrow. I would love to have him, but
I would take the flyer on him.
I would take him, but he's not my first choice, right? I wanted Justin Herbert because I think Herbert's amazing. I think it's not working in San Diego, wherever the hell they are, LA. But it's something that to me, I heard that and I was like, Schefter, what are you talking about? Like Burrow and Herbert get a ton of criticism.
Yeah, especially Herbert. I mean, Herbert really, he's obviously sort of a stat nerd darling with the advanced stats types, which is, I think, I like watching Herbert play. He's,
predictable
impressive.
Show over here. Of course, you love the stats stuff. Baseball guy, baseball fan, like the stats are what you live for.
I love the stats. It's true. It's so funny. Like I'm one of those people who like love being on spreadsheets for ridiculous amounts of time.
You still score the game when you go to the Toronto games, don't you? You have your card.
Oh, I absolutely.
I know you do.
Yeah, are you kidding me? What absolutely.
I have a belief they should force everyone to score the games because then people would pay attention. You'd have no one getting hit with a fly ball.
That's true. And people would know the game too because
they would know the game.
That's how I learned it. Really, I mean, you look scoring those games, you learn the ins and outs and have to figure.
I learned it because of Sports Center. You would hear the 6-4-3 double play and stuff, and you'd be like, "What the hell were they saying?" And that forced me to learn baseball.
Yeah, no, it's true. But yeah, I think Herbert does get a lot of criticism. I mean, and deservedly so. He's had some, especially in the playoffs, has been pretty bad, honestly. At least up and down. Burrow, I actually don't hear much criticism of Burrow per se, but he's also been hurt a lot. Everyone realizes his franchise doesn't spend any money. Their line has been terrible.
Yeah.
He gets killed all the time. And when he was healthy, he went to the Super Bowl, right? Like, so, I think he's been pretty impressive when he's been able to stand. Hurts, on the other hand, I think gets priced a little lower because he's not the passer that those two guys are. He doesn't have that natural passing talent. But like it's not just passing, especially in today's football, right? Like in the NFL.
Well, they do that illegal move at the goal line all the time. So
the move of men. Are you what you're talking about?
The move of lots of manliness in that move.
It's right. It's basically rugby, right?
Rugby,
Now
scrum.
the fact that they call it the tush push doesn't sound that manly.
Or the brotherly shove doesn't
the
sound
brotherly
great either.
shove.
I'm not gonna lie.
No, none of it's. There's not good names for it. It is not. I will say, everyone's like, it's such a terrible play. You listen to the crowd in those games. Whenever they walk out in that formation, everyone goes nuts. Like everyone wants to see it stop so
It's like the
badly.
WWE
Yeah,
style.
and I will
It is.
say, other teams don't do it as effectively. So
Yeah.
it hurts the argument of really wanting to get rid of it because it's obviously one team does it very well while the other teams don't do it that well. They just
Yeah,
don't.
and to be honest, this past year they didn't do it that well, and that's one of the reasons why. And without Kelsey, I mean, even the year they won the Super Bowl without Kelsey, they were able to dominate on that play, and it really changed it was borderline changing the way the league was playing.
Yeah.
But people started doing other things, and when that line is not healthy,
No.
you can't do it as much, and that's kind of where it felt. But I think like people take away they take that out. They're like, oh, that's easy. Like, no, the fact that the guy can
I
squat
was just gonna
650 pounds is a talent. That's part of
And
the
on
package
top
there.
of that, I would like to see somebody go in there at the speed that they do, take the snap, tuck it, and move ahead while somebody's shoving you in the back and not fumble that ball. There
my
is,
gosh.
it is not easy. And those guys pushing you, into there also lift and squat 400, 500 pounds. And they are,
Mhm.
so there is something to be said about Hurts being able to get that snap, not fumble it, tuck it, and
Yeah.
drive forward. Like, I make fun of it, but God, nothing in football is easy. Okay. Football is an
Yes.
incredibly difficult sport. So, all right, we're going to get to a few more comments here, and then we're going to let Stu go. And we did the cardinal sin of not talking anything.
The whole show already. Just went off the rails.
So Nate's saying, I've liked the addition of ABS so far. Humble those umps. But here's the problem. They're not. They're going to call it worse because they know they have backup. Like, this is the thing that people don't get. And it's like anything else. I think if you take helmets off football players, there will be less concussions. They will tackle right. If you give human beings an easy out, they will be lazy. The officials in the NFL know that they don't have to make the right call because it will get fixed. If you give these humans the ability to not be great at what they do, they will take more liberties.
Well, we see that all the time in the NFL, right? When there's a fumble, if it's borderline, they're not sure. They'll say fumble just because they know they'll get the review off of it, and that's again, that's not the way this is supposed to work.
And they have to be careful with that too, right? Because if they call something on the field, then it's harder to overturn it. So whatever the call is gets the weight. So at times they will just hold their whistle, and that's also not good for the player because now the players can get hurt with something that should have been called dead. Again, this is my push to get rid of instant replay. I think it has tarnished our sports. It's killed the flow. It's made it, we need to be accurate. No, I've lived my whole life without accurate, okay? You go through college and high school and Pop Warner with zero accuracy, dealing with humans, just be that much better than everybody else. That's all. I mean, that's my tirade. Nate's saying, I hate the drunken flea birds, but Jalen has been a gamer his whole life. The drunken flea birds. I love that name. That's a great name.
That's fine with me. It's fine with me. 2-time Super Bowl champion, drunken flea birds.
Hey, I will say though, the Jets have the most important Super Bowl win of all time. It was the merger. If without the Jets winning, the AFL does not come to the NFL. The merger does not occur, and the NFL probably folds because neither franchise, they needed each other to make money. So that's my
look. It's hard to argue with that name of the Super Bowl. It is probably the most legendary Super Bowl of all time.
I just wish Unitas was younger and more healthy because we didn't play like Unitas was on that team, but he wasn't the superstar he was. I think it would have been, again, the Colts were the Colts. They were amazing. They were freaking the team to beat. But it would have been sweeter if it was a healthy Unitas and we beat them there. But I mean, I wasn't alive. I have no idea. I just watched the old NFL films and watched them slow it down, make it look like these guys were zero athletic. Anyway, I hate that they slow down the old things. Caveat ties, if no time for politics, movies, Stu does Criticless. So do you know of this, Stu? And this might be a good guest for you and Dave to have on at some point. An individual we interviewed, Blaine Andrews, he started a website named Criticless. It's a website and app. It's an answer to Rotten Tomatoes. So what it is, you make an account and you can rate the movies yourself, leave a little synopsis, and it's almost like a social media. People can then go in, comment, and rate themselves. And the community's dope. Like there is no like stupid social media stuff that goes on. It's generally pretty good. And I use this over Rotten Tomatoes. If I'm going to see a movie, I go to Criticalist. So I highly recommend. I know you like movies and stuff yourself as well.
Mhm.
Jumping on the Critic List, making an account, throwing it has a good little 80s aesthetic too, a Critic List, like the whole background. But yeah, make an account, go rate some movies, and if you want an awesome guest, Blaine's a great guest. He'd be a good guy. I'll share the information if you want.
Yeah, please.
But all right, so a few more here. Burrow almost beat the Rams and the refs in the Super Bowl without a line. When he's healthy, he's top tier. Yeah, I'd argue he's top 5 when he's healthy. He really is. The guy can sling the rock. And then Nate saying CB Buckner is getting crushed. All right. So outside of that, we won't touch on Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel, even though it couldn't have happened to two nicer people. I hate both. I don't hate Mike Vrabel. I hate that he's a Patriots person. I dislike Diana Rossini with freaking she just tried to kill the Jets. I don't like that woman. Anyway, so Stu, we're going to let you get out of here. You've been generous with your time. Thank you so much for coming on and talking zero politics.
That's hilarious. Look, I could talk Eagles and Blue Jays and review and everything all day long. So I'm glad you're giving us some natural end here, because I would just probably keep going. But I appreciate it. It's weird. I'm trying to think the last time I did an interview like this where I didn't really get into politics at all. These are the conversations I have with my friends, though, right? Like, we're just ranting about sports. So I appreciate you giving me an hour here to just rant about the Eagles.
Oh, anytime. When we had Chris Cruz on, we just talked about movies. Like we didn't touch on anything. We just talked about movies. So we get in these situations. It's awesome.
We had another guest where he was a gaming guy on Rumble, and we just talked about the Redskins because he worked for the Redskins for a little while. So we just got talking about the Skins. So listen, this is the show where the plan is not the plan. Like I would be awful on radio because it would be like, stick to what you're supposed to say. I'd be like, but we had a great conversation going. Do what you're told. Like, no, I'd be terrible on that. But we appreciate it. Everybody, go to predictableshow.com and get ready. Predictable Show starts, you said, in a week?
I believe it's going to be, the first episode is going to be April 22nd. We're going to be in DC for it. I'm going to kick the show off there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Predictableshow.com will get you to our Substack, which we're going to, one of the secondary things just quickly on this is like, we want to break down politics so people understand
and you don't have to be quick. I want to let you go. You can take as long as you want. We could be here all night.
We've been able to find some opportunities over the years. Like it's been, especially during election season, like it's been a play. We've been able to pay for some vacations over here, and there's actually money to be made here, and I think it's a lot more accessible than a lot of typical investing, right? Like you can, and people talk about it as gambling. Like, of course, you can be an idiot and gamble. With everything, you can go buy penny stocks and meme stocks and gamble that way too.
And NFTs, they were valuable.
And NFT, right? Yeah, exactly. Or you could buy and hold Bitcoin over a long period of time and do pretty darn well, right?
Yeah. That is awesome.
So
fun fact: my dad, what did Dad have? Like 20 Bitcoin.
Don't hurt him this way.
And he lost his wallet.
We don't have to hurt our brother this way. Yeah,
I know. Have you gone through like the trash, dug under the house looking for it?
We wouldn't be able to.
We did. It's long gone.
It's long gone.
That's so depressing. It just hurts me to hear these stories. It hurts me.
It hurt us.
You think it hurts you? I wouldn't be sitting here in this room doing a podcast.
Yeah. It's a great
Life
point.
would be very different.
Yeah. But so join us at predictableshow.com. We're going to do it there. There's written stuff there. We're doing articles, like kind of going through markets that people might not see, looking for these opportunities. And we're going to do a show there at predictableshow.com. There's a YouTube channel. The youtube.com/Stu Does America is our old channel. That's going to become predictable here in the next week or so. Nice. So that's where you can go and follow that up. And then Stu and Dave Do America. I mean, it's funny the way this show has gone. It reminds me of doing the show with Dave because we get. I plan this entire show and I'm like, I looked at my stack of stories. We have like 12 stories left and we're out of time. And it's like one segment. We're one segment in and it drags over the entire hour.
Working with Glenn, who is like wants to get on his stuff, and here it is, and Dave's just derailing everything.
Yes, it's very funny. He always apologizes. I'm like, no, it was funny. Let's just go. But I appreciate it, and if people want to check it out, that would be great.
Yes, so if you guys are into Polymarket, you're into Kalshi, you're into stuff like that, like Predictable's where to go. And again, I've been listening to Stu for well over a decade. And when it comes to election time or anything like that, there are very few people that have gotten the polling and what the polling says right. Like, you've been really good. You were great in 2016. 2020, you gave us the warning that, hey guys, I think Biden's going to win this one. Like, you were one of the ones saying, like, we need a lot to go right in order for Trump to win. When everyone was rah, rah, like, you were one of the ones pumping the brakes. And real quick story before I let you out of here. You guys, your show, I was working in construction, you and Glenn, when COVID was just starting. And it was like not actually in there yet. And I remember I was working on a job in November of 2019. And we were seeing YouTube videos of just Chinese people collapsing and the police sweeping them up. And I remember you guys started talking about those. Like, there's some weird stuff going on in China. And then before anybody talked about it, you guys were the ones saying, and I think specifically you were like, there's this thing coming from China named COVID-19. It is similar to the, our SARS, whatever. And you guys, before anyone was saying it, saying, hey, get masks. You're going to be doing this thing called social distancing. That is coming. And this was before any of it was said. So if you want to be with an individual who has a really good vision of what's going on up ahead, predictable is where to go. Stu has a really good intuition for all this stuff. He pays attention. He studies his ass off. So he is somebody that you want to follow. So if you want to go make some friggin' money, go follow Predictable and just start betting everything on what he says. And if you lose it, then you can blame him as well.
It's investing. We don't bet. We invest.
Yeah, exactly.
We invest.
No betting. This isn't gambling. It's not betting. It's
investing.
It is Confucianism. You just go in there and make some predictions. There you go.
There we go. Mm-hmm.
So everyone, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. Wherever you're watching from, YouTube, X, Facebook, Kick, Rumble, all that good jazz. Go follow us at Cuestacast _. We'll be back next week with another great show. Thanks everyone for watching. Stu, once again, thanks for coming on. We'll see everyone later. Bye, y'all.
Peace.
But I can't lie, I struggle with faith sometimes, and I ask why. I question his work some nights, I try to look up when I feel stuck. I try to look up, and I put my faith in him. The question of your faith builds perseverance, and perseverance must finish this race. So choose to love it now, be welcome and embrace it. Let him do his work, but you must work, don't get complacent. Don't let that seed of greed plant its roots in your foundation. The house you build is nice, but underneath it you'll find Satan. And then you'll become a victim, you'll grow cold and start complaining. So choose to see the sun behind the clouds when it is raining. You choose to keep believing, you choose to keep on fighting. You choose when something's wrong, you do your best to make it right. And you choose to never quit. If there's darkness, there's a spot that you could brighten. I take my pain in words and try to offer good advice. And I do not have all the answers, I do not have all the fixtures, but if you keep it pushing, referring back to the scripture, there's a chance it will get better, and we live for that. He made you from his ribs, so know you're built for that. Yeah, we're built for that. But I can't lie, I struggle with faith sometimes, and I ask why. I question his work some nights, I try to look up